Hello, I'm Executive Chef Joseph Schutze. Welcome to our kitchen. Today I want to share with you my recipe for a fruit tart. We'll be using some berries from the garden and filling it with a vanilla custard as well. Stick around and see how it's made. To start with is making the dough for the sweet tart shell. This in French is called Pâté Sucrée. And we will begin with 12 ounces of waxy butter by weight, which equates to 3 sticks of butter. Waxy butter is butter that is room temperature. We will then add 6 ounces of sugar to it and cream that together until it gets a lighter pale color. Intermittently, let's stop and scrape down the sides to ensure that all the sugar gets incorporated into the butter. Okay. Then I'd like to add about a half a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of vanilla paste, and then add 6 ounces of almond flour, followed by 12 ounces of all-purpose flour, or pastry flour if you have it. Now that I have it incorporated, I will increase the speed a little bit, bring it together. Now it's kind of gravelly. We will add 2 whole eggs to it, beaten. Then I will remove my chute here and go ahead and scrape the sides again. Then go ahead and turn it back on to a medium speed. And as it comes together, we are complete. We will then remove from the bowl, wrap in plastic wrap, and chill it in the cooler or refrigerator for a minimum of 2 hours. And while we are allowing that to chill, we will begin working on the custard that will be the filling. And here's your dough. This will be enough for one 10-inch tart shell, or a few 6-inch ones or 5-inch, depending on if you want to do little tartlets. Now that it's pretty much airtight, wrapped tightly, it's ready for the refrigerator. Okay, now to make the custard for the tart. It's a little different than my normal custards. Same principle with tempering the egg yolk and the dairy, but this actually has a little flour in it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our saucepan, we're gonna put in our 2 ounces of white sugar granulated, a pinch of sea salt, 1/2 of an ounce of bread flour, and then we're gonna add 4 ounces of whole milk and 4 ounces of heavy cream. And what we're gonna do is whisk together until it all thickens up and the sugar dissolves as well as the flour dissolves and we don't have any clumps. Now make certain that you have a whisk that's small enough that could reach the corners of the pot. What I like to do too is also take a high temperature rubber spatula just to ensure that I am getting all the corners down and clean. Okay. Now we want to bring this to a hard simmer. All right, we are now at our simmer. I'm now going to pull it from the heat and ladle in little at a time, 2 ounces or so at a time, into the egg yolk and vanilla bean paste mixture. What this technique is called is tempering. What you're trying to do is slowly bring the temperature of the egg yolks up to where it's safe to pour into the milk and sugar mixture. If you were to put it in too cold, the egg yolks are too cold, and into the extreme temperature of this, it would then curdle and actually scramble the egg. So now that we have it hot enough, we're going to put the yolk mixture into our dairy and sugar. Stirring it. We are already back to a good, actually, boil. I want to turn the heat down a bit. And look how thick it got. That is your custard. So now from here, what we're going to do is I want to strain it through a fine mesh strainer and into a bowl in a water bath. Get all the sweet goodness out of here. And once we've got it strained through there, run a little bit over here. I'll tap the sides to get the excess through. You have to be careful with scraping like this, because if you happen to have any chunks in there from the flour or curdled egg, you'll push it right through the sieve, and really the strainer didn't do anything for you, because the whole point is to not have the chunks in there, so you have a nice smooth creamy custard. Now we got that. It's in the bath. I'll stir it around, let it sit for a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, keep stirring it, and then after about 15 minutes I will then take it to the refrigerator. I will put it in the cooler, but before doing so I will take plastic wrap, pressing it down directly onto the custard to avoid any type of oxidation. When the air contact is made to this, it will actually cause a little skin to develop on it. Not the end of the world, doesn't affect the flavor, just the texture of it, it'll be a little bit weird. So that's it for our custard. We'll go on to the next step. Well, we removed our dough from the refrigerator, or the Pâté Sucrée. I recommend pulling it out about 20 minutes ahead of time to work. That way the butter in there has softened up enough to where you can work with it. So we are going, this dough recipe will make for one 10-inch or 9-inch shell, or we could do some smaller 6-inch ones. We're going 6-inch, so what I'll do is, to make it easier to work with, is I will cut these into third with my bench scraper. And then go ahead and start working it with my hands. Because our tart shells are round, I want to kind of maintain a disc shape. something like this. Working it. So, let's tape it on there. Have a well floured surface just to give you some ability to move around without it sticking. Then we are looking to roll her out. Go and I want to go to about maybe 1/8 of an inch or so thick. Like that. So we will use our tart pans that have the removable false bottoms on there. They are non-stick. You just want to be careful with them that you're not scratching them. So we'll take the first one, lay our dough in, and gently and snugly press it into the tart pans. If you make a hole in it or push a little too hard and you tear it, don't sweat it. It's easy repair. Just take another piece of the dough, tear it, press it into place, and it will set up for you. So we're gonna press out towards the fluted edges like this, and then just press down on the top, coming from the side. And I like to run around one more time just to ensure that it's pressed against the outer edges to give me a nicer fluted look when it's baked. Piece there. And there you have. We will repeat this for the remaining tarts. Okay, now that we finished pressing our dough into the shells, forms, I like to take a fork and I like to poke the bottom of the tartlet or tart shell just to release some moisture and try to maintain a level bottom instead of bubbling up again. Another thing we'll do is we're going to take some aluminum foil and snugly press this down into the mold. So this is going to prevent over browning like that, and repeat this with the remaining. The oven is already preheated at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. We will bake this with the foil in it for 10 to 12 minutes just as it begins to brown. As soon as it begins to brown, we will pull it out, we remove the foil, and then bake for another 15 minutes. Well, here we are. Our tarts are brought out of the oven and we have them resting, and came out really nice. A little dark on the edge. I probably could have pulled them a minute or so earlier, but they're not burnt, they're not destroyed. So for the assembly of these, what I like to do is I always add some sort of filling to it. Lemon curd, pastry cream, a custard. You could even probably add like a chocolate budino or a pudding type item below, depending on what you wanted to garnish the top with. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go with our custard and then fruits and berries of any choice that you like. We have white peaches, apricots, strawberries, red currant, and blueberries. Currant and blueberries are from our backyard. The strawberries are from the backyard as well. We do have a peach tree that has fruit, but it has not matured yet, or they haven't ripened. So what we'll do is we'll take our custard, throw some in there, And then smear it around. Get a nice even amount around the whole tart. Feel free to put as much in there as you like. Me, I tend to not overload them with the custard, simply because I'm all about the berries. To me, the custard does nothing more than fill some of the space, you know, in order to save you a little bit of money, because it's a lot, let's be honest, it's a lot cheaper than the berries are. Also, the moisture in that helps make the dry flakiness of the crust a little more palatable, so it doesn't dry your mouth out or your throat. All right, now that we have those done, let us start filling out with the fruits. Again, feel free to use any fruit that you like. Also, design it any way you like. Have some fun with it. Be creative. Well, here we have our finished fruit tarts. They turned out pretty nice, and this is where I meant by the brushing the apricot on it, how it gives it a very nice sheen, and it will help it not oxidize. And as it sits, you know, if we had a party and these were out sitting for 30 minutes or an hour, they would still look just as fresh as though they were just made. Well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. It is a little bit of work, but with it, there are no shortcuts. And if you want the desired results, yeah, definitely don't try to do a shortcut. So thanks again for joining us. Please feel free to leave some comments below, and Yoet Vayat.